So we thought our Anthem Part 2 episode was maybe going to be our most politically charged debate about the failures of capitalism and democracy. But I personally had forgot about the existence of when we were sort of delving into the politics of Anthem Part 2.
So you're doing straight up there's no bullshitting here. You're just going straight for the throat.
You know what, man? It's 2017. It's 2017.
You've already said the song title and everything.
Maybe I'll bleep that. You know what? I'm going to bleep that. And people can just
like that
wonder.
We do this pre-roll thing where we like make a big production about saying the name of the song that's like already written all over the episode title.
Yeah.
And all of our social medias, and like it's always very clear, but I still think it's a nice sort of comforting way to ease into the episode.
You felt like I just sort of threw you in at the deep end there? Was that not fair?
I got a little bit scared. I just started freaking out.
Sorry,
but you know, there's not really, I don't even know what else I didn't have anything else planned to say.
Yeah, did you have like any funny jokes you wanted to make? Like,
I just like a little bit of foreplay, not just the instant sort of ramming of the song title.
Sorry. Okay, so I don't know. Have you seen Justice League yet? Or
no, I'm not going to see that.
Have you watched, the new season of Stranger Things? I know you're a big fan of that, Josiah.
Never heard of it, actually.
No, it's a lot like Twin Peaks. It's sort of like, or whatever, it's like Alien or whatever the joke is now, but it's pretty good. It's not as political as some Blink-182 songs. Now I feel like I'm like having to not talk about it. It's really awkward for me.
No, I think honestly, it's like, it's fine. You've done it. It's a new way of starting the episode. Just say the song title. We'll just do like a very literal, no beating around the bush, no.
Well, I just
color,
don't want to get stuck in a rut, Josiah. Like, I don't want to become one of those couples that like every night it's the same thing.
Right.
There's no magic anymore.
Talking about some housekeeping thing.
Yeah, like
I will say, actually, I have a good thing that I wanted to bring up.
Oh, great! Thank God.
I followed somebody else with our Twitter account, which is really a big deal because as everyone knows, we only follow the members of Blink. The guy who has Blink 155 as a handle.
Mm-hmm. Play Online Songs.
And the teen girls who run Play Online Songs. This nice man who looks like a pop punk dad, his name is Bill Billingsley.
This dude rules. This guy is my favorite thing about the Blink 155 socials.
Yeah, he just, like, I've never retweeted him or anything. He's a little bit sad, but also very great. But he just begged me. He was just like, I just signed up for Twitter to say I love Blink-155. Can you please follow me back? And he kept begging me to follow him back. And I'm like, yeah, what the fuck? I'll follow Bill Billingsley. So I did. And now whenever I log into our Twitter, all I can see is him replying to every tweet from Mark and Tom begging them to follow him back.
Well, yeah, because the weird thing about the Blink-155 socials, like I follow a couple hundred people on Twitter. You follow a couple hundred people on Twitter. And anytime you log in to Blink-155, the last tweet is from like 6 hours ago, and it's whatever dad joke Mark Hoppus has made. But now you've added this wild card into the mix.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I saw he posted that he was going to start doing reviews of our podcast, where he was going to, I guess, make comments about how mean I am and how nice you are, which, like...
I think, yeah, I mean... I support that theory, but it does make me wonder if maybe he's sort of not fully up to speed with the pod.
Yeah, exactly. He should know that you are the mean one.
I mean, I literally introduced him by saying that his Twitter is kind of sad.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say that I think it's like my favorite Twitter, and, I look forward to his reviews of my kindness and just general sweet demeanor. And
he also every time he tweets about Blink-182, he then ats Blink-155 pod after.
I saw that he's
to make sure we didn't miss it.
He's spent a lot of time at the To the Stars Academy, actual building. So I guess there's an office in San Diego that you can go to, and there's a fishbowl type situation where the official offices of the academy are just on the other side of this glass. So you can watch Tom and presumably all these other ex-CIA, DOJ OPP employees sort of toil away on the future of, time and space. And
Yeah, there's sort of a picture he posted of, you can kind of see his reflection in the glass a little bit, and it's in the lobby of the store, and he says he actually shows up there most days, Monday to Friday. Does that mean Bill Billingsley goes there every single day of the week?
That's what it sounds like. Bill Billingsley, let us know what your schedule is.
I think more people should follow Bill Billingsley. His Twitter username is WSB333. Bill Billingsley from Carlsbad, California. He's got a nice puka shell necklace on and some cool shades out in the California sunshine, presumably enjoying some Blink-182.
Yeah,
Love
maybe some Blink-155. I mean, he has sent us photos of him driving in what looks like very picturesque parts of California, listening to the pod. You can see it on the dashboard of his car. So
Yeah, he was only on the parking lot episode when he shared that, so he's got a real long ways to go. So I think probably Bill Billingsley, it's going to be about 3 years from now by the time you hear this shout out. But all the best to you.
Well, you called it a little sad. Like, think about how he's going to feel in 3 years when he gets to that.
Well, maybe by then his Twitter will have improved and he won't just be begging the members of Blink-182 to follow him back.
I mean, look, I understand kind of what you're talking about, and you see this with, any celebrity. There's always, like, anytime someone with a substantial number of followers tweets, there's tons of, in addition to, like, choke me daddy, please follow me. It would make my day. It's my birthday. Please follow me, and so on and so forth. And I understand that you're sort of criticizing that desperate Twitter style. Josiah,
yeah.
before you interject, I think it's important to sort of consider your own behavior, and that you have basically started this podcast in order to get Mark Hoppus to either follow you on Twitter or block you. And I think you're casting stones a little bit from
all do. We all just. I mean, well, that's definitely true. I mean, you know how many strategic faves I've thrown out there on Twitter. I mean, I'm definitely. I think the reason it feels awkward is because when you log into our account and you can only see this guy begging them to follow him on every tweet, it's like a reflection of your own desperation and your own self, and then you're like, oh my God, am I really much different than Bill Billingsley?
No,
who is a great guy. Love you, Bill.
But you're the Bill Billingsley of this podcast.
Oh my God. Wow.
So that's been a great commercial for Bill Billingsley. You know what? Another type of commercial is a Reebok commercial. This is the first time we've done a song from the Fly Swatter demo, I think, right?
Yeah, and
it was it was time for us to sort of take a trip back to the origins. This is on Fly Swatter, it's on Buddha. These were not recordings that made a big impact on me when I was younger. Like, I went back and I bought them when I, got super into Blink, but none of these recordings from that era feel like they had like a tremendous impact on me the way, once you get to Cheshire Cat, like everything is imprinted on my heart. Did you have like a more, I don't know, intimate relationship at all with these demos?
I think, speaking of Cheshire Cat, my cat is literally like attacking me right now. I don't know what's going on with him today, but he's like, you might be able to hear him purring into the microphone.
Sick. I can't right now, but like...
no, I didn't. And I feel like this might be an example of like a little bit of pretension if people do pretend that these things are the best ones. I mean, unless you were like... If you were like 15 when this came out and you were like going to shows in San Diego or something, maybe I could see this being your favorite. But otherwise, I think if you say that these are better than Cheshire Cat or Dude Ranch, you're just being pretentious, ultimately.
Yeah, if this was like a local band, like if you're listening to this podcast and you were 15 and going to shows in San Diego when Fly Swatter came out or like when Buddha got put out, I get it. But otherwise, like going back and listening to this, like this is, I mean, I know, like I said that I liked Los Angeles last week, and I'm capable of recognizing, that I'm in a problematic position right now. But like this song sucks. Like this is not a good song.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, there's a lot to go. While we're sort of, I mean, you haven't, again, all of our like beats and patterns have just been thrown out the window. You've not yet asked me why I picked this song. So I think, I don't know if I should tell you or not.
I just never want to know. Okay, hey Josiah.
Hey Sam, how's it going?
Why'd you pick this song?
How was Los Angeles?
It was so sunny and real. I was definitely actually there. So why did you pick the song Reebok commercial by the band Blink-182, Josiah? What's happening?
Sorry.
Is that your cat?
He just knocked my phone over and it fell out of my ear.
Really?
Oh, this is a nightmare.
Yeah. Don't you have like a big, beautiful house now? Can't you like shut the fucking door?
I can, but we have this weird sort of like ingrown relationship because I've been working from home for his entire life. So like he needs to be by me sometimes and I can't do anything about it. So he owns me.
Yeah, that's fine.
The reason I picked it, first of all, it was time to talk about Buddha, as you mentioned. Mm-hmm. We've been talking about all the people who obsessively follow us on social media in a nice way. Thank you for all of your attention, you psychopaths. Somebody messaged me and said, I can't believe you missed this Adam song parody. So I looked it up, and basically, I mean, it's so much to get into. I'm kind of nervous to even talk about this because there's so many details and a fucked up timeline and everything. But
I know the cover you're talking about. Yeah,
you found it. So
so I did because I did a quick Google on this song. I mean, I'm not you, and I'm not trying to take your place on this podcast, but I felt like I needed to know something.
Right. And so basically, what is this band called? They're called Rookie Card. They're like a San Diego band from quite a lot, like from the early 2000s. And I listened to the actual band because their cover art was really cool, and I really do like it, actually. It's like pretty interesting sort of teenage fan club, like Pavement kind of worship.
Yeah.
Indie stuff. But they did this parody of Adam's song to sort of diss Blink-182 because this guy named Pat Secor financed Buddha, but then didn't get any money for it or something. Or there's like this, basically the small town people left over in San Diego feel like Blink have fucked them over, and there's owed royalties, but it was just a handshake contract or something. So I thought, well, yeah, we've never really talked about Buddha. We should get into this stuff and get into all that stuff. And then I've kind of just been, I don't really like the song either, to be honest, but I've just sort of been trying to latch onto something, and then all these other themes have presented themselves. Like, I wanted to pick a song that was on Buddha and Fly Swatter, but then I started thinking about how it's like sort of a weirdly anti-consumerist song, and you think that the commercial thing is like probably a joke in the title or like a diss towards being a sellout, but then it's tied to them potentially fucking someone over, and then whenever you search Reebok commercial, you find all these weird commercials that they were actually in, and I don't know, it's like this song is sort of it's weird. I feel weird about it.
Well, it kind of feels like the song itself is like a prism, and all of your sort of opinions about Blink-182 go in, and then they're kind of splintered into a beautiful rainbow on the other side. The rainbow, I'm not sure about. I haven't really thought through this metaphor. But let's talk about the Pat Secor or whatever. So he ran Filter Records, and he financed the recording of
yeah. Filter Records is not really a label. He just kind of started it to put out the Buddha. Well, okay. First of all, there's I think 3 versions of this song. There's the Fly Swatter version, and then there's a second demo that they recorded on a cassette that never was properly released and it just exists as a bootleg. Then there was the Buddha cassette, which is credited to Blink, not Blink-182, and has a Buddha on the cover. Now that is the release that Pat Secor, who was Mark Hoppus's boss at a record store, he wanted to start a label, so he started Filter Records, paid for them to put this out, and basically there was a misunderstanding of like, he paid like $1,000 or something, and it was like he thought he was going to get royalties from these recordings forever, but they thought that they were just going to recoup what he put in or something. And there was no actual lawsuit, but there's just all these like hurt feelings and burnt bridges now.
Yeah, so then Buddha was subsequently re-released by Kung Fu Records, which is like Joe Escalante from the Vandals' label. And he's also an entertainment lawyer. And so I guess like ultimately all this stuff kind of got run through a sort of bigger money punk lawyer machine than like a guy who owns a record store in San Diego was kind of capable of going up against, right? So it kind of becomes this like little guy versus the big guy, you know,
which is like,
David
and
versus pop punk Goliath.
This is the first song on Fly Swatter demo, and it's the first, or not the first song, but it's, you know, it's the first song on their first demo. It's probably one of the first songs they ever wrote, and it's like really actually quite sad to think about already this early on. They've sort of potentially become this kind of like machine that's fucking over their former friends.
But I don't think they were fucking anyone over until like later in the 90s, right? Like I'm sure the initial run around this demo was mostly, you know, handshakes and hugs and lots of affection until you get to the Dude Ranch money machine, right? Like when did it actually go south?
I guess it's true. Well, also it's really confusing because like people don't even know when Buddha was actually released. There's like all these arguments about like what version is what, or you know, I mean, like because nothing's documented very well, I basically just fell into a hole of like even trying to figure out when was Blink-182's first show and all this kind of stuff. So there's all this like confusing stuff, but yeah, ultimately it's like down the road it was reissued and sold tons of copies, and Pat Secor felt like he was owed some money or whatever.
Yeah,
I just think about it compared to Green Day, where it's like Green Day kind of seem like they've taken their friends with them the whole time, in a way. Like they have that pinhead gunpowder guy playing backup guitar all the time, and like I don't know. There's probably stories about them too, but I feel like I've read multiple stories about Blink-182 sort of having lawsuits with people over different sketchy things like this.
Well, like lawsuits with each other, right? Like it's obvious that this is like a fairly litigious band. Like I feel like they're probably suing each other right now.
Yeah,
like even Mark and Travis, who are in a band together and seem like friends, it's like somehow they're not cool.
Yeah, probably. Well, actually, apparently the Take Off Your Pants and Jacket album title was come up with. Is that a correct grammatical sentence?
Yeah, totally.
It was that pun was actually brought to them by a guitar tech who had to like sue to get royalties for coming up with the pun.
I mean,
like,
that's
just like things
Jesus
like that.
Christ. Well, so like, as you talked about Green Day, and so I realize I don't know this, but like, what's their relationship with like Larry Livermore? So like, Larry Livermore started Lookout Records, put out the first 2 Green Day records, and I mean, is there a lawsuit there, or are they like totally pals?
You know, I didn't actually. Yeah, maybe we should talk before we start recording.
No.
We could have looked it up. It's true though. It's a good question.
Like,
Ultimately, I guess the other thing is like then maybe Lookout Records wouldn't have gone out of business if they had hooked them up properly. So I would assume maybe there's not. I don't know. I guess the ultimate question is like, when you get famous, is it inevitable that you're going to fuck someone over and hurt someone's feelings, or they're going to feel like you ripped them off somehow?
Yeah, because, okay, look, so Green Day, who we just said, like, oh, they're fine or whatever. So the reason that Lookout Records shut down 10 years ago is because Green Day took ownership of all the records that they originally put out and then demanded unpaid royalties for all the copies that they had sold.
Okay, well, never mind.
But like, to be honest, again, it's one of those things where like I don't know that doesn't sound to me like it necessarily makes Green Day like, and maybe I've just like gone through the looking glass and I'm a wretched capitalist pig now. But you know, a lot of times like record labels that were started like by punks in the 90s, like unless you're Brett Gurewitz and you're like a secret businessman, you know, didn't necessarily have like solid sort of financial underpinnings because they didn't have to. And I'm not saying that's like a criticism, but just like the reality of if you're just going to put out your friend's records. So like you don't have contracts in place, and that's fine. Like you shouldn't. It's stupid. But the problem is like the explosion of those bands. Like you never would have predicted that when you're running Lookout Records, all of a sudden one of your bands is going to sell fucking Diamond. And you just
Right.
don't have the infrastructure in place. Like, one person can't handle that, right? Epitaph is sort of an exception, literally because, Brett
'Cause of Ronnie
Gurewitz is like
Radke.
a secret MBA. What?
Because of Ronnie Radke. Like,
oh, yeah.
I mean, I feel like Epitaph probably is like, oh, we have to pay out all these royalties. Let's just sign some fucking horrible, like, garbage metalcore, crapcore band and then pay all of our bills.
Yeah, that's it. They're just, Ronnie Radke, pays for all the Smash royalties that they still owe Noodles.
Well, actually, yeah, I guess it's true. Like, you can't necessarily build an indie label around another little bit more contemporary example is K Records is apparently like close to being completely bankrupt because they owe like hundreds of thousands of dollars to Kimya Dawson and to the microphones and Mount Erie and like all these things that like theoretically they had the money to pay them, but then sunk it into other releases that didn't sell at all and went straight into discount bins. So it's like, I guess, yeah, as soon as you owe someone royalties, if you're not way ahead of the curve, you might be fucked.
Yeah, so like, is Kimya Dawson like a bad sellout person? Like, it's easy to call like Green Day and Blink capitalist swine, but like,
yeah, I guess it's not
Kimya Dawson.
Well, I mean, she's annoying, so I don't know if that counts, but
Yeah.
no, the thing is like, it's not, but that's the thing is like, I think when I read about this, it's like, I don't think that this Pat Secor guy has anything to stand on. I just think it's really sad, and it just makes you think about like getting older and maybe like bridges that have burned or like it just feels sad.
Yeah, totally. And it's depressing because on one hand, I mean, I think I skimmed some news articles about like Blink's side of it where they were just like, yeah, I mean, it wasn't really a record label, and like the record was out of print, and this was the deal we thought we had, and blah blah blah. I'm like, I don't think that necessarily makes Blink-182 like bad dudes. However, how many houses do you think Mark Hoppus has? Like, that's a man with multiple
exactly.
houses, and Pat Secor probably has like one decent house. And
I mean, even that, he owned a record store or still owns a record store. I don't know if he's doing much else than that.
Yeah, so like I guess that's the part where even like, so if Green Day was going after Lookout Records in 2005, like isn't that like around the time of American Idiot, like when Green Day was like back to being one of the biggest rock bands in the world? Like, do you need more money? Like, really? So I'm obviously sort of undercutting my own point here, where I'm like, if you've done the work and they've sold the records, you deserve that money. But at the same time, like,
I guess the other thing is like, maybe they don't even know. Like, maybe like I'm sure they have such a massive team of people doing things that like maybe they just don't even know that their lawyers are going after people about this stuff.
I think that, I mean, these are businesses, right? Like, they're like Blink-182 is, I was going to say a small business. It's not even a small business. Like, it's a medium-sized media company. So I think you're totally right. Like, there's shit happening that you have no idea about. I mean, I think of, for some reason, this sort of comes up as like the most contemporary example, but you remember when like on the last Arcade Fire record, there was all this like marketing stuff that was happening where they were spray painting the logo for the record.
Oh, like Reflector? Or
yeah,
whatever?
Reflector. And so there was these small business owners, basically tweeting at, Win Butler saying like, hey, I had to pay $2,000 to remove, the spray paint for your record on the side of like the small business that I own. Like, this is kind of fucking bullshit. And him being like, I had no idea. Because, of course, like, you get to that point, like, you literally don't know what is being done in your name anymore. So.
But I also think, I mean, that sucks.
Yeah, totally.
I feel like I would be more proactive to make sure that I do know what's going on. Because you don't want, like, I don't know. I get stressed about, like, little details right now as a unsuccessful person who co-hosts the third best Blink-182 podcast or whatever. I get worried about the things that get put out with my name on them. So I couldn't imagine if you're like dealing with multi-million-dollar campaigns and stuff.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, maybe we'll have an opportunity to really test ourselves, when Blink-155 is as big as Blink-182.
Or bigger. Hopefully we'll get bigger.
Yeah, and we're suing Blink-182 because we're like, you're you're copying, like we invented Blink-182. You're out there making money off of our brand, which is the podcast that talks about you.
That would be sick. Well, I was going to say one thing about it, though, that does suggest maybe not just like throwing your hands up in the air, but like, so Pat Secor has said he paid for everything. And in the like folded up liner notes for the Buddha cassette, it literally says, thanks to Pat for paying for everything. But then since then, Mark Hoppus has said, oh, yeah, we all put in money or whatever. So
What the fuck?
I don't know.
Also, I like that you got like real deep into this. You're doing like excavations of liner notes. This is...
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, so ultimately this is the biggest narrative about it, but it's really not the only thing. So we can there's two routes we can take. We can talk about a conspiracy theory, or we can talk about the lyrics, which we're going to have to do anyways. But you can choose your own adventure right now.
Okay, well, you know what? I know later on in the pod we have a guest, friend of the pod, George Pettit from Dead Tired and Alexisonfire, and we get pretty deep on the lyrics. So I'm going to pick the lyrics now, so we can talk about the lyrics a little bit because we have to. But then we're not doing like double lyrics, down the line in 45 minutes or 2 hours or however fucking long this takes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually, from talking to people, I'm finding out a lot of them don't make it all the way to the end of the episodes.
Are you surprised by that?
I mean, I do.
Yeah.
How dedicated
How many
are
times
you guys?
How many times on average do you listen to an episode of Blink-155?
I would say 1.5.
1.5.
Because I usually listen to it once, and then every once in a while Sarah will be like, oh, I couldn't finish it at work. Do you mind if I just put it on, like on the stereo or something while I'm cooking? And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I don't care. It's a good podcast. I don't give a shit.
Oh, you know who listens to our podcast while they cook, and I want to just shout them out as a good friend of the pod, is Patrick Wynn Williams, who's slowly torturing his wife, Claire, who may or may not be involved in a sclusy down the road, a very funky sclusy. So just like teasing some shit there.
Damn.
I know.
So many teasers.
I just can't imagine listening to podcasts like with Ashley in the room while I'm cooking, and then also it being like, I guess the inverse, like if it was like her voice or something. It's,
I mean, I guess we just have a better marriage than you.
I think that's it, man. I'm uncovering the secrets of your lifetime of happiness. Because you guys have been married for like 30 years or something, right? Like,
yeah, we've been married for 35 years.
They marry you guys like right away in the church, right?
The bronze anniversary or whatever.
So let's talk a little bit about the lyrics.
I don't really have much to say to them, except I think the reason, like, there's a lot of things that I do like about this song. I like I said let's talk about the lyrics, and I'm about to talk about the music, but I like the rudimentary sort of stupidness of it all, and just the way that it, like, I don't know, it just sounds like they're going up a major scale and then down, and it's just really simple and dumb.
And it goes on for so long.
Yeah, and I also noticed, actually, there's not really many videos or anything involving this song, but I am going to show you, of course, being tied to consumerism that it is. This is from a website where Tom DeLonge was selling Blink-182 memorabilia for like $400 USD or something. But I found the set list from their first show, and it's really awesome, handwritten, like shitty teen writing. It looks like the Blink logo has been written almost in the Mad Magazine font in a way, which I respect.
It's your people, yeah.
But yeah, it looks like they closed it with Reebok commercial, the set, and Tom has misspelled Reebok. The future of the universe is in this man's hands, and he can't spell Reebok on a song that he wrote. But all I'm thinking is, like, they opened their demo with it. They put it on Buddha after that.
They closed their set with it.
They closed their set with it. I think they were like the most proud of this song, and I think that they thought that they were really like flexing their muscles musically with this one.
Yeah, that's weird. Okay, so I got a few questions here. So one is, you said that Tom wrote this song. Now, I saw in like some Google result that I could not truly source that Scott was credited as the songwriter on this, which seems very strange. Isn't it Mark singing? But it's Mark singing, right?
Hang on. This is the conspiracy section that you're getting to. We're going to get into this because there's a lot to parse, really.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucked. But all I was going to say is the lyrics, I guess, people have determined that they're about the protagonist feeling like he's not good enough for a girl because she's richer than him, but he doesn't need wealth or whatever. But I think ultimately what I'm trying to say is the problem with this song, the stupidness of it, they've done that so many times so well. I think the problem is just generally they're trying to fit too many lyrics and there's no like hook. You can't even, and there's no covers for this song. And I think it's because you can't even like figure out what the vocal melody is supposed to be because it just is like babbling.
I couldn't hum you this song. Like,
yeah,
it's like commercialism. I mean, it reminds me of the sort of insertion of commiserating into all the small things where it's just like a lot of words. And I get that they're sort of trying to make some point about coveting commercialized goods or whatever. It's very, very religious. But
yeah.
it's just sort of nonsense. Like, yeah, too many syllables, man. Get those syllables out of the way.
Yeah, I think, and there's just no like repeating melody. So I think that's why the lyrics don't work. But along the lines of what you're saying, how it's just sort of vaguely like anti-consumerism. What happened? What happened where in the 90s and early 2000s, that was all anyone ever sang about and cared about. And if you were like alternative, you were like against materialism. And now I think, I'm truly curious what happened, but like, is it because of poptimism? Is it because we've all started loving like rap and stuff? Or what is it that culturally, alternative culture, quote unquote, is not really worried about consumerism anymore?
Well,
is it just a relic of the 90s?
This is maybe way too simplistic and maybe popular of an answer, and therefore we should be discussing something much more esoteric and conspiratorial. I always look to the shift in the 90s from like a music industry and sort of a music and entertainment economy that was based around record sales and CD sales to one that was mostly based on income from live performances and then supported by selling out money, because no one can make a living as an artist anymore. Like, you can't be Fugazi anymore and just be great and sell your records and have that be enough. The sort of slow erosion of the boundaries that used to separate kind of art and commerce has got to the point today where like it doesn't even exist. But I think you started to even see that towards the end of the 90s, where artists, in order to sort of make up the sort of difference that they were losing because of, thieves like us stealing everything on Napster, like that money came through working with brands. And all of a sudden, like Adbusters era punk and alternative culture seemed incredibly quaint because we all kind of grew up
like it was kind of impossible to reconcile those two things, so they had to make a choice.
Yeah, I think that's it. And like,
but now it's just funny because as a creator, that's what happened. But as an audience, I think no one really noticed that it was gone. And now when you see something we've talked about this before, when you see like anti-consumer things, you're like, it's coming from like the fucking stupid Banksy account on Twitter or whatever.
Yeah,
there's not
true.
really like there's nothing left in pop culture that really rails against consumerism in a valid or interesting way.
I mean, I think that's why people respond to. I mean, like, I'm a big fan of Propaganda, and I think there aren't a lot of bands like them anymore. And one of the reasons why I think they have and sort of artists like them in other genres and in other disciplines entirely, like, I guess, political fucking dance people, I don't know, is because it does remind you that, like, purity maybe is still possible for some people. And it's like purity porn where you just like, oh, could never be my life. But like for a night, for 10 minutes while like my partner's not home.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
like when
I
Ashley's
was
not
like,
here, I just listen to Propaganda and jerk off. But like,
I mean, I used to love not jerking off, but like sitting around at home and just like reading Adbusters all the time.
Yeah, Adbusters
in my
fucking
middle class
ruled.
home that my parents bought in my bedroom that was like full of shit that I didn't need, and like between, it was just like, it's an impossible thing to reconcile, but people used to at least try to engage with these things.
I also think it was just a trend. Like, I really do think, like, the 90s, this was a trend. Like, I used to get Adbusters. Everyone we know read Adbusters all the fucking time. Like, you know, and now when I think of Adbusters, it's in this, like, thank you, Mr. Banky, you know, type scenario where I just think it's funny and embarrassing. But,
right.
You know,
and if you see Adbusters now, it's always, it seems like they're trying to rebrand every single month. Like, there's...
well, they did that whole thing.
They're trying to trick you into picking it up.
They sort of like fell off, I think, for a lot of people when they became like very weirdly anti-Semitic. And I don't mean like anti-Zionist or anti-Israel. I mean like there was the whole weird thing where they were trying to point out the Zionist conspiracy amongst like U.S. lawmakers. And they published a list of like, you know, like people in Congress and people in Senate with like stars of David next to the ones that were Jewish, like not the ones that like, you know, had made public statements supporting the state of Israel or whatever, but like literally just identifying Jewish politicians. And what was the editor's name? It was like,
oh, Cal Lassen?
Yeah, I remember hearing an interview with him on CBC where he was like, I just think, and he kind of speaks like a nutty professor. He's like, I just think, you know, it's people should be thinking about how does the Judaism of these politicians. And it was like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of many like shark jumping moments. Prior to that, I remember reading an interview with him where he was like, I think that the revolution will be a $250 graphic design coffee table. Like, okay, maybe not, guy.
But I don't know. Maybe it's a simple like because I do think like this was not a trend in the 80s and it wasn't a trend in the early aughts. And maybe like I don't know, the most popular rock band of the 90s was Nirvana, and Nirvana definitely came from like a scene that was, you know, anti-Reebok commercial, and you know, and it was an attitude that they carried with them, you know, through their ascent, you know, and that maybe established a tone of what was cool. Like it was just that was just what was cool. Was I mean they were not going to do the things that we see artists doing now, and eventually that kind of died. And I mean,
well, I think also what happened was. And this reminds me of Adbusters too, because they did a cover story about this topic, the quote unquote hipster, and that was another time where I was like, oh, how did I used to read this magazine? It's so bad. But I mean, whatever the word hipster means or doesn't mean, or if it's still a thing or not, it was clearly a thing that existed in the 2000s, and I think it sort of has infiltrated all of culture now. But I think the concept of hipsters was like, basically you define yourself by what you consume. So instead of being anti-consumption, it was like consumption is how you express who you are as a person. So it almost became like pro-consumption.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, it's interesting. And I'm sort of reiterating a point that George and I talk about a little bit later in the pod, but this song, which is so like material things are bad and I don't need them, I've got my own personality. Like these are a bunch of guys that all started like shoe and t-shirt companies.
Oh, exactly. Well, and then like while I was searching for covers for this song, I'm not going to play them on here. That doesn't really work. But I found an HTC Status commercial, which was like some sort of flip phone or something. That's with them in it, and they all appear blue because when something appears blue on this phone, it means you can share it on Facebook or something.
What?
And then there's a Travis Barker Boost Mobile commercial where he like, it's like if he didn't have Boost Mobile, he wouldn't have been invited to his first punk show, and then his life would have been different, and he would have become a bodybuilder, and he would have been this like roid monkey or something.
What?
So like even I honestly I told you before we recorded, I couldn't find a single cover that wasn't just like someone badly playing the guitar in the room. So, but while I was doing this dig, all I could find for their supposed anti-consumerist song was commercials that they did.
I mean, good for them, man. Get money, get paid. I don't blame them.
So there's one last thing I wrote down about the lyrics before we talk about the conspiracy.
Yeah. Also, while we were talking about Travis and commercials, I mean, I think that transplant song was like in the Fructis ad was a actual watershed. Like I think we've joked about it before, and it's sort of haunted the transplants. But that was the moment where you're like, okay, if Tim Armstrong and Skinhead Rob are selling, you know, women's shampoo to kids in the suburbs, there's just nothing left at this point that is untouched.
I mean, there's all these hilarious contradictions and paradoxes about punk, really. But I mean, look at Tim Armstrong. He's written songs for Britney Spears and Pink.
Yeah.
And look at All the Small Things video and how the same location was used for the One Direction video. I mean, everything is just like, maybe it's just impossible to exist in a capitalist society and be against it while also like profiting. Like, I just think the whole thing is such a paradox. It's hilarious, and that's kind of also what I love about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hilarious thing to navigate, and I would encourage people who are interested in sort of thinking and sort of pursuing this topic more to visit patreon.com/Blink155, where you can engage in capitalism with Josiah.
Actually, yeah, let's donate to our Patreon, and then we'll do a exclusive about punk commercials.
Oh, that's actually
that would
really
be a
good.
good one.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's a
so
good topic.
Because
So
I would
thing
love to
was
talk about this more, but this is like a deeper thing to unpack. That is obviously this song is about this, but we'll do an ad exclusive.
Yeah, we'll get Noam Chomsky to come on it or something.
Yeah, for sure.
So I found this Tumblr called 1 Week Band, and I didn't really look into it too much, but they said some interesting things about Buddha and how it's sort of setting the stage for Blink-182's career. And I just wrote down a quote from the Reebok commercial section, and they said, "One thing to think about as we move forward is how Reebok commercial, in all of its parroting, predicts the way that themes play out in future Blink tracks. Sure, it is an anti-consumerist song in a punk tradition, a reductionist anti-consumerist song in a pop-punk tradition, but mostly it's about Mark Hoppus feeling jealous and weird about other dudes, and that's the main idea of Blink-182 studies, 1996 to 1999. Chew on that."
I'll be honest. I know that this is the 20th episode of our Blink-182 podcast where we talk about individual songs for like 2 hours, but that was too much. Like, that was too fucking much.
I like it. I like when people use academic words. Like a nice little dick stroke.
No, yeah, like, what is that? Like, I get it, I guess, but you could have said that like without half of those words, my dude. Like,
It's true. Yeah. Well, I think I appreciate that sort of pretentious academia, but I think what
I
this person
read
is
too
trying
much
to say-
Hemingway when I was in high school. I'm just like, say what you mean.
I think that's what this person is trying to say is that instead of continuing down the line of being anti-consumerist, really what this is setting the seed for is for the songs to be about being jealous of other guys and feeling like every other dude is just a threat towards your women or something.
Yeah, I think that's a kind of a fair interpretation of it, because the actual like anti-consumerist stuff in this song is very confusing, and there's like the perspective switch halfway through when the song kind of speeds up where it's like, you have to follow my rules now or whatever he says, which makes it clear that like it's more of an obsession with an individual as opposed to like the capitalist structure.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just mad about this person having girls and silver cups and stuff. I don't know.
Which is, yeah, like, again, like, it's property ownership, which happens to be a girl as well as consuming goods, I guess.
Yeah, the song is problematic as hell.
Well, speaking of it being problematic, so I'm gonna slowly start getting towards this interesting conspiracy.
Yes.
I have to start with the problematic part, which is that this is really scrubbed from the annals of history, as I like to call it.
It's very funny.
That was the title of my Blink-182 timeline in Exclaim, which I
the
thought
annals
was just
of history.
So clever. And then like 10 people thought that they were so smart and emailed us like, "I can't believe your editor who wrote this thought that it was anals and not annals." So I'd just like to say a big fuck you to all those people out there.
You're thriving right now too. I mean, little did they know that you would eventually have a successful. I put that in scare quotes.
Annals of history is like, I'm actually going to put that on my tombstone when I die.
It's definitely a very Blink-worthy pun. I mean, one of the things I read about this song was it's like, Scott, in the early Blink biography, Tales from Under Your Mom or whatever.
Yeah. So let's start with the problematic part.
Yeah, I'm worried.
I'm about to say a slur. I'm sorry. Blink-182 said the slur, and I'm just repeating it because we need to face the past before we move to the future.
Okay.
We've been talking about labels, what record labels release this.
Yeah.
The Fly Swatter demo is credited to, let me make sure I've got this right. It's credited to, I should have written this down, actually. I believe it's credited to Fags in the Wilderness Records.
Really?
Yeah, it's like handwritten on the side of the cover art. Yeah. Which is clearly even now you can tell what they were, I think what they were trying to go for, hopefully, is the old defense. The term faggot means bundle of sticks. Because that's
like
what
trying to
it
be
actually,
like a joke about the wilderness.
like a double entendre. A really funny thing about living in Calgary, where I live, when the band Viet Cong was getting in trouble for their band name, which they changed to Preoccupations, it blew
They're
up.
from Calgary, just to make, for anyone who's not familiar,
Yeah,
right?
sorry. Yes. For anyone who's not me, I will try to add more context to my sentences.
Yeah.
But when it was blowing up, it took people in other cities getting mad about it for people to start talking about it in Calgary, I noticed. Maybe it's because it's so tight-knit here, or maybe it's just because everyone's quite stupid. But they didn't really... No one was mad about it until Pitchfork told us to be mad about it in Calgary. But a lot of the people that I saw getting mad about it were good friends with a local mod rock band called the Fags. And people were like, okay, how can you be mad about this you need to spend an afternoon on Wikipedia to understand why Viet Cong is a problematic name. It's not totally obvious at first, but you're defending a band called The Fags, and they're like, oh well, it's because they're referencing the 1960s, which is what they called cigarettes back then, or whatever. It's
What? Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like this word is aggressively a slur.
It really is, but it's also, and look at, this is not a word that anyone should use, but when you watch 90s kids movies, like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, this word is in in every PG-13 kids movie from the 90s, and I wouldn't say it's funny, but there's something about how it just cuts through, when Bill and Ted they'll hug each other and then they'll step away and look at each other and say it, and you're like, it's like someone's dropped the N-word, I feel like, in a contemporary context, where you're just that, you can't say that, and it sort of spoils those films, because you just hear it and you're like, this is I guess they were trying to I was like, this is how kids talked or whatever, but it's so dated in a way where I don't think there aren't 1930s teen movies where they're just casually dropping similarly aggressive slurs.
If you see an old, I don't know, health class textbook or something, and they use the word retarded in it, and it's aged similarly badly, where it's just this used to be part of sentences all the time.
Yeah, I will say I actually use the word later in the podcast, but it's in an appropriate way, because it is an actual word that describes something being slowed. So just FYI, when you get to that part in the podcast, when you're listening to it,
right.
For the second time, Josiah?
So you're saying George from Alexisonfire approves the use of slurs?
Yeah, I'm saying I want everyone who only listens this far in the podcast to know specifically that George Pettit is ableist.
Pro slurs.
Pro slur.
Well, and also the other thing is that word, the word that, we're talking about the word fag is I think in the 90s or 2000s, especially if you grew up probably not in a very progressive environment. I grew up in Abbotsford outside of Vancouver, and I was called that word constantly.
Oh my God,
for,
yeah.
Having, I don't know, wearing jeans or something. I don't even remember what I wore that everyone thought I was such a weirdo, but I just tried to dress what I thought was cool, but it made me a fag.
Yeah, that was my entire life growing up as well. And I think that's, this is funny, but not funny, is I've actually always thought that the Korn song that's about this kind of nails it really well, where it's this was the go-to slur for a period of time in the 90s. And you would be I don't it made it, I'm unpacking this in a way that is not fully intellectually developed on my end. But just what does that make you feel? And you're like, is that me? Like, you just have no idea. It sort of throws a wrench in your whole kind of like teenage, like
Well, it's kind of like
psychosocial sexual development.
just even the word hipster that I was talking about earlier. Like, again, these are just like meaningless words that people, it's just like blanket term that applies to anyone that you don't like if you're from a certain era, I guess.
Yeah.
But I also think Blink's use of it is more to do with their ongoing kind of gay panic joke that they've had for pretty much their whole career.
Yeah, like this is still going. Like I'm sure, and unless I'm wrong, I don't think they ever used that word in like any of their songs or anything. But like, and I can see that this is an attempt at being clever. It's just so dated, right? I mean, it's just.
Yeah, and it's just funny too because I'm sure they didn't realize they were going to become like one of the world's biggest rock bands ever, and on their very first release, written on the side of the artwork in all caps, it's just so funny.
What is the artwork on Fly Swatter? Also, like I know that it fits into the alphabet kind of conspiracy, so it's this weird A with sticks. It actually looks like sticks.
Yeah,
is that the joke? Do you get this? Like, I don't get it.
I have no idea. But, I mean, let's move on from this to, on the Fly Swatter demo, the song Reebok Commercial is sung by Tom DeLonge, who sings everything on it except for the cover of NoFX and the cover of Dinosaur Jr.'s Freak Scene.
Which, by the way, we have to get Fat Mike and Jay Mascis on the pod for those episodes. So,
yeah, like we'll get Jay Mascis to talk about the NoFX cover and vice versa.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so here's what I am getting at here. So Fly Swatter demo recorded May 1993 in Scott Rayner's bedroom with a 4-track borrowed by somebody named Cam Jones. Cam Jones played in this band. What are they called? They did a split with Blink called, again, very offensive, called Short Bus, with a handicap logo on the cover. Really great era for pop culture. Cam Jones is from a band called Iconoclast. He lent them the 4-track. I promise you I'm getting somewhere with this. Cam Jones is in a very famous backstage photo with Blink, which is probably the coolest photo I've ever seen in my life. I just sent it to you. They're like dressed so fucking cool. They just all have like giant shorts and old school Vans and like it's the best photo. That
not only do they look, and this will be up on the pod
Absolutely.
socials, but like it's a mix of so 90s and so Mac DeMarco. Like it's that perfect
exactly.
They look simultaneously this is like extremely Nowtro cool vibes and also like total pop punk nostalgia. But if you told me this band was opening for Mac DeMarco, I would be like, yeah, I get it, of course.
Exactly. And if you zoom in on Cam Jones, who is the guy that's not Mark, Tom, or Scott, he has like an anime T-shirt with a Blink-182 sticker on it. Like, I want to buy that T-shirt right now. And it looks like they eat Del Taco. Like, this is the greatest photo of all time.
And they're on those like terrible, like every backstage in all of these kinds of venues has a leather couch for some fucking reason.
So anyways, to record the Fly Swatter demo, they borrowed the 4-track from Cam Jones. Around this time, Mark Hoppus was dating a girl who basically said it's me or the band because the band was a new thing. And so he momentarily quit the band. And then he kind of got really jealous of the band and broke up with her and rejoined the band. Now, a lot of people think that in that moment of history, Cam Jones played bass in Blink-182. And some people think that Cam Jones played bass on Fly Swatter and not Mark. And that would explain why Tom sang this song, but then later on Mark sang it.
Wow. So you saying like there's like a moment where sort of the timeline split, like an alternate 1985, and somewhere like there's an alternate 2017 where Blink-182 is Cam Jones, Travis Barker, and Matt Skiba?
If that happened, then that would mean there would be another band that was Tom DeLonge, Mark Hoppus, and Scott Rayner. and that would be even better.
Wow.
They'd
Okay.
still
Cool.
be together.
Yeah. It's always nice to sort of like comfort yourself with the many possibilities of the multiverse.
So people did ask Mark about this on Twitter once, and he was just like, they're like, did you play bass on all of Fly Swatter? There's a lot of debate surrounding it. And Mark was like, there is? Please explain. Yes, I played the bass on Fly Swatter. And then they did explain, and he never replied. So I don't know.
This feels like some revisionist history, like him saying that they all paid to record Buddha. I don't know, man. I smell bullshit.
I know it's kind of hard to know what's going on. But so Cam Jones was in this band, the Iconoclasts, who did the Short Bus, unfortunately titled Split with Blink. But also in that band was this guy Kerry Key, and he has just the most incredible Flickr page, which I'm gonna risk getting in trouble and post some of these, because what I just sent you is supposedly Blink-182's first show.
At the Gorilla Pit.
Yeah, like look at Mark's pants. He's wearing giant red pants.
Yeah, they look like mod robes.
I know.
Wow,
Yeah.
babies,
So this guy-
man.
This guy Kerry Key, he has like a bunch of really cool photos. I found him on Facebook, but I didn't add him. I got a little nervous.
Why didn't you add him? I think you should add him right now.
Okay, I'll do it on the air.
Yeah, like I think add him with sort of our support and our encouragement.
Okay, yeah, I got the pod behind me.
All the friends of the
encouraging me.
pod, man. Just like
And
chanting.
you know what's an interesting thing about Kerry Key, which also supports this alternate universe thing in a way, is that he's an associate professor at an Earth observatory, and his his Flickr has a bunch of photos of like stars and space and stuff. So he came up with these guys, and he also arrived at a similar Tom DeLonge place of being obsessed with the stars in the sky or something.
Because
Maybe San Diego pop punk, they know something that we don't know.
that's what I'm thinking. I mean, when you said he works at an Earth observatory, I was like, so he's the opposite of Tom. Like he's obsessed with just sort of looking at the ground.
You're right. I mean, maybe that's just what it says on his Facebook page. I'll ask him about it when he approves me.
If you could, check in. Because, I mean, you had a lot of luck with that German guy. People like you.
I mean, even just look at this photo from his Flickr that I just sent you. It's like a black and white photo of a teenage Tom DeLonge skateboarding in a Target parking lot.
Oh, so sick. Why do you think you're going to get in trouble for posting these photos? Because you're stealing them from his Flickr page?
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Like, one of these, so basically I've just been reading horribly confusing timelines about when Buddha was released and who released it when. And people on those, old GeoCities pages were like, I was going to post all these photos, but I don't want Kerry Key to get mad. He didn't write back when I asked for permission to download it, but whatever. I don't give a fuck.
You guys are friends on Facebook now. You're fine.
Yeah, that's true.
It's so funny because before we started recording, I said to you, hey, George and I talked pretty in depth, so I don't know how much there is to say about the song. So, let's not worry about it if we only talk for half an hour or something. And you were like, oh, I know that's not going to happen because you had you've gone so far down the rabbit hole on conspiracy theories that you're just sending me black and white photos of Tom skateboarding in a Target parking lot in the 90s.
Well, I think, yeah.
No, and I
knew
appreciate
this
it.
was gonna
I'm not
happen.
mad. I'm not mad.
I think ultimately what it is this is the start of something.
Yeah,
And
totally.
I guess the question is what do we take from this? We had that theory from Tumblr about it being Mark realizing that, or Mark complaining about other men threatening him or something. I think that's sort of fair. I think it's the start of Tom figuring out his guitar playing and figuring out chord progressions and stuff. But other than that, I don't know if there's a lot. I think it's crazy thinking that this was from 1993 originally, and then 3 years later or whatever, they were writing perfect pop songs.
Yeah, the progression is almost impossible to understand. When you listen to this, it's one thing to say this band would eventually write, Love is Dangerous, and that feels silly. But to go from this to Carousel feels like a fucking a leap across a universe. It's just, and this, you're right. This was the song. I mean, it's what starts these demos. It's what's ending their set. you know, I remember being in bands like in high school, and you're like, "This is the hit," and this is how you would always package it. Like, those are the signs, man. It's bizarre.
It's really weird.
Now, what about is there anything in there about Scott having written it, or is that like just some errant, weird Google fact that is not true?
Yeah, I haven't seen anything about that. I mean, I think he has a writing credit, but ultimately the theory is that Mark wasn't in the band when they did Fly Swatter. That would explain also why there's 3 demo versions of the song, maybe. Like, maybe they did their first demo when Mark wasn't around.
Yeah.
And then it sort of, like, negged him into coming back. It's kind of weird that they would... But then again, he does sing on the 2 covers. Maybe they just tacked those on after. Like, it's really odd. Yeah. It also seems like everything happened really quickly. So...
Well,
so maybe
when we eventually get Mark on the pod, we'll kind of hold his feet to the fire and we'll say, "Is Dude Ranch come? And did you play on Fly Swatter?" Like, those are big question marks that sort of hang over this podcast like a dark cloud.
I know. I've also, my digging has gone so deep that I've found video footage of Mark Hoppus as a high school student in 1989.
What the fuck?
And he's like, I'll play the audio over here, but you should just look at what he looks like.
Yeah, okay.
Like, now I really believe that he was, like, if just look at the first couple seconds, I really believe that he was like a hardcore Cure fan.
Oh, what? Wow. This man loves The Cure. He's full, which is so weird because, like, the song that Robert Smith is on eventually is kind of a Tom song.
Yeah.
Like, it seems unfair that this clear Cure head was denied his opportunity to sing alongside his idol. But, you know. Yeah, you should definitely... Yeah. Is there audio on this? Like, can you play some of this?
Yeah, there is. So I'll play you him talking at the start, and then also it's not worth playing, but there's footage of his old pop punk band from 1990 called Of All Things, and they just used to do like Descendants covers, but I can't even make out the audio. So, but what Mark says at the start of this video is really good, so I'm just gonna play it right now.
Okay.
I don't get involved in school activities.
That's it. He's looking like a goth. He's like, I don't get involved with school activities.
Who was recording that? Like, that's...
I don't know. It's so, like, yeah, it's really cool. Other than that, there's literally no footage of them performing this song. There's no covers that are worth watching. There's nothing. I mean, eventually we're going to have to talk about all the incredible footage of them doing, like, sound checks in Montreal in 1996, or, like, them touring with 7 Seconds and stuff. Like, oh, it's so cool. But unfortunately, I can't talk about it with this song.
Oh, well, you know, we got 135 more songs to go. But, I mean, congratulations. You know, we did it. 20, it's a round number. That feels like something that's worth celebrating.
That's pretty good. And hopefully next week we won't do such an esoteric song.
Yeah, we'll see. So, okay, final thoughts on Reebok commercial, Josiah Hughes.
There's a general sadness that I feel about the whole thing. Just thinking about the passage of time and about them having these gross fights with people about royalties and stuff. And I don't know, it's just like, it's nostalgic. Like, you look at these old photos and you're like, damn, these guys used to be like best friends living the dream. But then you listen to newer, like, middle era Blink songs and you're like, but then they became one of the best bands ever. So I guess it's the trade-off.
That's it, man.
But
Life is about sacrifice.
Yeah. Like, it's an interesting song. I felt like we had to do it, but I don't think I've really learned anything.
Well, I, on the other hand, feel like I've learned a lot. So now I'm sort of obsessed with the idea of multiple Blinks existing across multiple timelines, and what are those different arrangements? Like, is there an arrangement of Blink where Scott stays in the band but Tom leaves? Is there an arrangement where, you know, Matt joins the band but Tom comes back and you get your dream Blink lineup that's, you know, both guys playing guitar, which, right, that's your sort of fantasy, I think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's pretty much, it's a sad dream. I feel like I could dream a lot higher, but it's pretty much all that goes on in my brain nowadays.
Yeah, you got to dream modestly, I think. Otherwise, you're just going to disappoint yourself. And so, you know, I like, you know, us inventing conspiracy theories, but the fact that there is an active conspiracy around this song, and did Cam Jones get the credit he deserved? Like, I don't know, and I like that. It makes me feel
okay. And this does remind me. The reason I looked up Kerry Key was not just because I thought he had a cool flicker, but it's because I was trying to find Cam Jones, but it's a really hard name to find. But I figure if I get into that Kerry Key friend list, then I can search for Cam Jones in there. So
hell yeah,
it's all part of the plan.
Okay, good. So this is gonna become like Serial. So we'll keep going in our sort of ongoing investigation throughout the Fly Swatter episodes to uncover the truth behind Cam Jones, aka Mac DeMarco's drummer, and his involvement in the band
so
at this
cool.
time.
I hope he still dresses the same.
I hope so. He looks so sick. All of their like Mark's hair matches his shorts, and Cam's hat matches his he has orange Vans. They look
like orange. I think they're suede almost. Or something.
So sick.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, so there's, like I've said probably 10 times, there's no covers. But speaking of capitalism and milking things for money, we have said that I'll start covering songs if we reach a certain goal on Patreon.
Yeah, I said it was $500.
Okay, yeah. So what we'll do is if we ever reach that goal, I think what I'll do is I'll record covers of songs that don't have covers.
Oh, okay, that's good.
I don't want to add to the clutter. Some song, as we've learned, Adam's song has already been perfected numerous times. So I'll do that.
So you'll do unpopular songs that no one will want to hear.
Yeah, I'll try to figure out the complex. It's almost like the Dirty Projectors. The vocal delivery of Reebok commercial is just so staccato.
This is real proto Dirty Projector shit. Well, that's a great reason for people to embrace capitalism and give us their money.
Can I also say one more aside, even though we've gone on way too long?
Yeah, fine.
I still have this window open with the set list.
Yeah.
And this sort of just is a callback to the, I believe, parking lot episode, which I guess we've already referenced with Tom skateboarding in a parking lot. But we were questioning whether or not they knew about boots and braces.
This dude's.
And this is the flyer for what may or may not be their first show. Soma, Live, Blink. It says Blink, Alternative Punk Power Pop. Say Blink at door. And there's clearly a skinhead skanking on the flyer.
Yeah, with boots.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about braces, but
I can't really tell.
We don't know if he's wearing yellow. Maybe he's a Nazi.
Yeah, it's true. It's a black and white flyer, so we're not sure which side this guy is on. We can ask Tom that when he's on the pod.
But there's definitely a skinhead on this flyer, so Blink is a skinhead band.
Sick. I'm glad we answered that question. Coming up after this brief interlude, we've got George Pettit, and we intensely unpack his opinion of the lyrics and his relationship to the band and all of the free Atticus stuff that he got when Alexis was really active in touring. And a little bit of a sort of pre-spoiler that I would like to share is as we're doing our interview, he is hiding in a bedroom upstairs from his wife, who hates Blink, hates pop punk, and in the middle of us recording the podcast, his wife tweeted, "Just walked in on my husband doing a Blink-182 podcast, and boy, is our marriage counselor going to hear about this." So make sure as you listen to this that you're appreciating someone who gave his time and his thoughts at the expense of his home life, just to pontificate on Reebok commercial by Blink-182. It's a real sacrifice.
That's funny because I just heard my wife come home right now, so I gotta go.
Okay, cool. Well, let's go be better husbands than George Pettit. Please enjoy our conversation about this song.
I actually printed out lyrics, and what's really funny is I was having printer difficulty, and I couldn't get it to print. I keep trying to print it, and then I figured it out. There was a battery stuck down in where the paper goes. And so it was kept saying paper jam. And so when I pulled the battery out, it printed the lyrics to this song 15 times in my printer. So I now have 15 copies of this, which I'm going to go hand out in front of a Foot Locker.
Yeah, go to Walmart and Well, maybe what you can do is like you can sign a couple of them and we can give them away as like gifts to people who support the podcast on Patreon or something.
There you go. You want to kick a couple, kick a couple bucks in the old pot for the Blink 155 boys.
Yeah.
You get yourself a signed copy with, and there'll be a higher tier one because I have one that I've made notes on.
Oh, wow.
Like I've underlined things I'd want to discuss.
Okay. Well,
And yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're so prepared. I already have started recording, but do you mind if I start recording? Like, I just feel like I need to ask that
of course. I figured all the bullshit about me and Meg's cat would be somehow involved in this.
It's very important. The people want to know about how you've used your ability with cats to get a wife. That's the other part of this podcast. Is it's like pop punk and then like pickup artist techniques and tricks.
Oh my God, no!
Yeah,
those are the two things.
Yeah,
if I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to use this pop punk, podcast to tell you, pickup artist podcast to tell you that if you want a woman like the woman I'm married to, you will avoid all pickup artist things and you will avoid all pop punk related things.
Oh wow!
Because,
okay, so does she know that you're doing this podcast?
She did. In fact, I gave her a disclaimer before I did it. I was like, look, okay, I'm going to be upstairs doing a podcast. A Blink-182 podcast, okay? So I just want to give you, I want to let you know in the spirit of, honesty in our marriage, because I don't want you walking in on me doing this.
And you're going to be
I don't want you...
get out! Shut the door.
Yeah, because, I don't know. It'll lighten the blow. She doesn't need to... It's funny that so many pop-punk songs are about girls, because there's nothing I have found that is more off-putting to any woman than playing pop punk music for, trying to explain Screeching Weasel to my wife is it just doesn't track on anything. There's nothing that remotely makes her feel anything at all. And I'm just like, yeah, well, okay, they had 15 records and they kind of went from this kind of post, kind of hardcore punk, skate punk sort of vibe to a pop punk vibe and Lookout Records and Green Day and blah, blah, blah.
And then you punched a woman in the face at South by.
Man, I might as well rip a fart in front of her.
Well, I mean, I think because a lot of these bands are so rooted in a very expressly juvenile male perspective, which is not to say that there are obviously many female fans of all these bands, but it's this emotionally retarded, way of looking at the world that for some reason has lasted through to the 40s and 50s of these professional pop punk men. Yes, yeah, that is exactly it. And this song is it's pretty much, it's quintessential. As far as it's a perfect example of a pop punk song that would resonate with no one but a 13, 14-year-old boy would read that and be like, yes, I'm moved by this and this is going to shape who I become. Yeah, that it feels like a really fuck you, mom and dad. I don't need things. You care about this house and all this crap, but I've watched Fight Club once and I'm not materialistic like you. Yeah. All right, I should probably do some a bit of housekeeping before we start really tearing apart this song. Yeah, please do. I recognize that I have a ton of art that I made when I was 19 that is available for purchase on Apple Music, or you can listen to it on Apple Music. And all of my back catalog, all the things I did when in my early 20s and late teens is up for, you can throw it to the dogs. Everybody can critique it to death if they want to. I recognize that it's mortifying that stuff is out there sometimes. But in full disclosure, I got to take this song apart. So you're prefacing it by look, I know that's, if Mark Hoppus is listening to this, he could look back and be a 44 caliber love letter from what, George? But, oh yeah, totally. And he would be completely justified. And there's no,
I can't go back. It's not like I have this like spectacular, everything has been great. Like all of my lyrics are like Leonard Cohen, like Lou Reed stuff, you know, like it's not that at all. And I have stuff that if I had to listen to two guys who are, you know, our age discussing my lyrics from back then, like that would be very uncomfortable for me. So that is my preface to this right before I get into really digging into this song. I think I should probably say that.
That's fair. Okay, so all of that said, George, what is your opinion of the song Reebok Commercial by the band Blink-182?
Well, it's spectacular garbage, Sam. It's really, really fucking...
Yeah.
Well, there's certain things like, I mean, like even just like specifically the lyrics, there's a few things they do in the song, like that I've done, that other bands have done, like, and it like where you have a message you're trying to get through and it doesn't necessarily like the words, the syllables don't fit in the song. So you kind of cram extra syllables in the end and stuff like that for the purpose of getting a message across. Right. But in this song, the message is just so shitty and so there's another thing that you do too on the adverse, like when you're writing lyrics, sometimes you will sacrifice grammar for the purpose of, you know, fitting it into the cadence of the song. Like, you know, you'll add extra words and make it wordier than it needs to be so that it fits and it rolls nicely with the music. And they're doing that here. But it's like both of those things are fighting against each other. It's just like, it's really spectacular stuff here. Like,
so what's your favorite, like, brutal shoehorning in of like a $2 to $3 word? There aren't a lot of really like multiple syllable words in this, but like, is there any that jump out to you as particularly egregious?
I mean, the coveting of the things you own, like using the word covet is really like there's, I mean, like I feel like that speaks to the like quasi-Christian beginnings possibly of Blink-182. Like there's some weird Christian undertones even throughout the band probably, right?
Yeah,
like,
that's been a big theme.
Yeah.
Josiah in particular as like a youth group. I was going to call him a youth crew kid, which he might have been, but more so a youth group kid. Always seems to find like the hidden Christian messages in these songs.
Yeah, well, there's a lot. Yeah, and I mean, all right. Let's just. I'm gonna take it line by line, Sam. I'm not gonna keep you for too long here, but I'm gonna take it.
No, this is. I appreciate the fact that you have notes made, which like I hope you can at least like take a photo of your well-worn, you know, like kids who make notes in their copies of, you know, Catcher in the Rye or whatever, but you've got this like delicately noted lyrics to Reebok commercial.
I have three different highlighters. Okay, I have three different colored highlighters for different themes I would like to discuss within the song. No, I don't have any of that, but yeah, just to go off, like obviously, like you are better than me, girls, money, and everything, right? Like so, like obviously he like, you know, he cares about being attracted to women and money and everything like that. And I try and compete with you. Yeah, there's a lot of I and you and me and you and you and me and me. Like that was something that I think like every young punk band had like that song where it was just like me and then you are not like me and I'm like I don't know. Yeah,
I'm a punk and you're a prep and it's also because you can't conceive of a world like beyond. Like you're like a baby and you haven't developed object permanence yet. So the minute that you close your eyes, you're like the world ceases to exist. And that's 100% the perspective I think that this song is coming from.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. I really love the part in the song where he's like, you know, I'm different from you. And then I don't know if this is like, I don't know if Buddha came with lyrics, with like a lyric sheet, but he says, like, I'm different from you, so you will have to be like me. And the lyrics copy that I have has an exclamation point. Like, it's like he's flipping the script on the guy. Like, oh, I got ya. But it's like, what does that even fucking mean?
I don't even know. Where it's like, I'm giving the orders now, I guess. But, like, there's a lot of, like, in Blink songs like this where you just think they kind of have a general sense. Like, obviously what they're trying to do here is offer up this, like, I'm a punk, you're a prep, kind of like, fuck your material things that you covet like a sinner. But like they'll just be random sort of thoughts where you're like, that's just there to fit the rhyme scheme. I mean, there's just no way that really makes sense in the context of this song.
Yeah. Oh, I know. It's bizarre, and I like it never comes back to that. Like it's like not. It seems like that's a point that they really like in the lyrics that I printed out. There is like a space between everything else, and so you will have to be like, like they really emphasize that line. Yeah, and I just feel like it's just really it's kind of weak. Like it's not like he really zinged the guy or anything like that. Like I don't know.
It would make more sense. I mean, not even, but like if that was the last line. So it was all of this like, you want these things and you're trying to do this, but like, no, man, I'm in charge now. Like I've got the sick band. We're ripping up the suburbs around San Diego, and I'm setting the tone now. But that's not what's happening in this song, I don't think.
No, I don't think so, because it takes a real like kind of Marxist-Leninist turn, right? Where he says like, I cannot be bought. My personality is what I choose. And like here's like a line where like, I cannot be bought. My personality is what I choose. It's like Nike came into his house and was like, "Hey man, you know what? You should dress like a prep, man." And he was like, "No dice, Nike." And they're like, "Here's a check for $1 million." And then he like rips the check up or something. Like it's
that's the music video for sure. It's also funny because all of these guys ended up owning apparel companies, right? Like at some point. They started to market personalities, Sam. Yes?
Oh, yeah. George Pettit received very many Atticus T-shirts, Atticus jackets, polo shirts. Yeah, I may or may not have been sponsored.
So this is SpawnCon. This is a total conflict of interest. I didn't realize. You should have disclosed that off the top. You've ruined the authenticity and the sort of impartiality of this podcast. This is a heartbreaking moment for me and our many dozens of fans.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Like this is. I feel like I'm on the spot now. Like it's like
defend yourself. Yeah,
Trump Jr. Like just got like I just admitted to something, and now I'm having to go back and like we were Alexisonfire definitely in the early days were receiving like Atticus clothing, and they were I think in some way or another sponsoring us.
Did you ever meet?
It's funny to think of it now.
Yeah.
What's that?
Well, no, you finish your thought, and then I've got questions.
Well, it's just funny because back when you're like a young band in the 2000s and you're living in a van and stuff like that, and you have like some moral ambiguities with regards to sponsorship. Mm-hmm. You take things that when people give you free things, it's just like, yeah, of course, give me that, I'll take it, right? And then, and the other day I was reading a thing about how Tyler the Creator got like $1 million from Vans or something like that. And I think about like Alexisonfire would have done what Tyler the Creator is doing for a pair of Vans. Like that's, we did that all the time. Like it was just like, oh yeah, free clothes, great, yeah, we'll take that, And I'm just like, all we did was promote their clothing line by and we got some socks out of it. And nothing, no disrespect to those guys. That was us. Like I don't know, but there was a lot of we definitely weren't all that savvy when it came to sponsorship and money or anything like that.
Well, it's almost a shame that Reebok commercial, the song, didn't maybe come into your life a little bit earlier because, as much as you've been sort of mocking it line by line, there's actually some really important lessons in here that young George maybe could have heeded.
Let me tell you something. I'm a huge hypocrite. hypocrite.
What's the most, is there like an extremely, kind of like, what's the Alexis equivalent to this song? Like I am not like you. Like when you read this, is there a part of you that like sort of twinges because you feel like you've written something a little similar?
Of course, yeah. I think there are definitely things. I think there's things I wrote quickly that I would not write now.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and it's funny to say because the stuff I wrote when I was like 19, I'm a little less ashamed of because it's so ridiculous. A lot of it's crazy. Cause I was really kind of, I don't know. I was a lot crazier when I was 19. It's more the stuff that I was like calculated and I was trying to like get a point across or something like that, or make a statement about something that I feel uncomfortable reading that now. Cause I don't think I'd write that now. Right. So I'm not going to call out any songs. I don't want to like,
you don't want to shame
I think
any
there are
of your own art.
fans
Yeah.
that are, I don't want to shame any Alexis fans or anything like that. But
Yeah, because someone's got like a tattoo of those lyrics and like thinks that they're really deep.
Totally
and,
a tattoo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't want to like downplay that, but just know that I do have songs that I'm fully ashamed of. And yeah, that's it.
But you have the benefit of like screaming and ultimately being like, especially on earlier stuff, completely unintelligible. Whereas like on this song, the register, the wispy register that Mark is singing in just cuts through so cleanly. Like, and there's no grit on the performance. Like it's very, which somehow makes it more uncomfortable to listen to for me personally.
Oh, totally. It is, it's very earnest, like, you know, like hearing something, like it's it sounds very home recorded, right? Like, this has got to be the like earliest recordings of them.
Yeah.
Right?
So this is on Fly Swatter, which is like the first demo. And then it's on Buddha, which was like the demo that they released. So this is early shit.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Like, yeah, this is the stuff that you're making and you're recording. You're making these songs in your parents' basement, right? Like, it's not.
You're not conceiving of MTV at this point, for sure.
No, you're not. You're not getting. You're not thinking about sexy Travis Barker yet. You know, you're thinking about your buddy from high school playing drums or whatever. I don't even know who was playing drums, but I'm sure. You know, that guy, the guy who's
that guy's name
left
is
the
Scott
band.
Rayner, and we should show him some respect. According to a few things, and presumably earlier in the podcast, Josiah has already answered this question for me, but, in real time, I have not talked to Josiah yet. Scott Rayner is actually credited potentially as the songwriter on this. So, like, maybe this was written by the drummer, which also sort of makes sense. I don't know, though. He does the research.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, maybe.
So,
and that would explain some things.
It would explain some
like,
things.
Yeah.
So when you were an Atticus band, did you guys ever meet anyone in Blink? Like because you guys have played with a lot of bands. You were sort of in a different punk world, but did your paths ever cross?
One time at a festival, and it's a totally this is not an interesting story at all.
I'm sorry I asked.
Tom was in a dressing room that was kind of across from ours. Blink-182 had a dressing room. He came in there. I came in. I like poked my head in. I was just like, "Hey, we've received a lot of Atticus clothing. I just wanted to say thank you and say hey or whatever and introduce myself." And I did that. And then he was being very polite. And I could tell he was very tired, and I was just like, all right, I'm going to go. And that was like literally as long as it took. I met Tom for a split second.
Incredible.
And that was it. Incredible. Amazing tale. But I did go to the Atticus warehouse, and a gentleman there who worked at Atticus took us afterwards to Sombrero Mexican restaurant.
The spot.
And while we're there eating sombrero, he was like, "Yeah, this is sombrero from the song My Girlfriend or whatever." And I was like, "Oh yeah?" And he was like, "Yeah, like My Girlfriend, she brings me Mexican food from sombrero." And I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, cool." And so that's about as close to Blink-182 as I ever got. I ate a burrito at the place from the song. So there you go. Salivate over that, Josiah.
Yeah, he's mad. He's listening to this right now, and he's jealous. He's stuck in Calgary, like as if his life could be worse. Yeah. And now you're just rubbing it in his face.
I know. I didn't. But yeah, that's about as close as I ever got to those guys. So yeah, they didn't spend much time around I don't know. I think at that point they were on the next level. Like they were in like super celeb world, and we were still in up and coming, kind of breaking through the glass ceiling world, right? So
just getting those free shirts.
Just getting the free shirts. We're going to catering. We're first in line at catering. We are starving.
So what was your general like relationship with this band like though? Because like I was surprised when you like texted me that you were listening to the podcast, because my general sense of your interest in music is that you like listen to, blues that were recorded like on, stone tablets.
Yeah.
And like Nick Cave, and then maybe like post-hardcore. And that's sort of my sketch of your musical interest. But, you've been, I think through this podcast, unpacking your own relationship with Blink-182. Is that fair?
Yeah, totally. Because, I went through a huge pop punk phase, early high school, and I mostly, look at records pop punk. But before that, grade 12, not grade 12, grade 9, and even, I think I first heard Blink-182 in grade 8, because I would have been 13 the first time I saw them play. It was at the Cool House with the Vandals and Assorted Jelly Beans.
Sick lineup,
right? But here's the thing, I was 13 at the time, and I was already of the ilk that I thought that Blink-182 were sellouts. But and what really hurts me is that they really did at the age of 13, hearing Blink-182, there was no doubt it hit right on the nose. Dude Ranch hit right on the nose for me. It was just it was too perfect. And I loved Fat Record stuff at that time. And I was even listening to Propaganda probably at that time, or all sorts of stuff. But Blink-182, man, it hit, and I loved it a lot. I remember listening to it on Discman and things like that. And then by the time they came to town, I was super excited to see the Vandals, and they played afterwards. And I remember being like, whoa, these guys are sellouts or whatever. But secretly, in my leather jacket, I was standing there and knowing the words to the Dude Ranch songs and being kind of half stoked that I was watching them, so, yeah, 13 years old.
So it's your own private shame, kind of.
Yeah, kind of, I guess. I don't know, yeah. But you can't deny it. It really is an undeniable music for that time and era. It really did hit more than anything. I remember even because I liked punk music, and I was really I strained myself to try and really abrasive punk music, but this was just it was just so easy to listen to, back then. So yeah, and I've listened to it again since then, and it's not quite as easy to listen to, but it's you can't deny it, man. They have the pop sensibility,
Well, yeah, I think it's just they did all the heavy lifting for you. There's a reason why I think this podcast is a good idea, which is because I'm amazed by my ability to just return to these songs, or how much I listened to them back in the day too. It just it has that it's laser targeted, and later on in a deliberate way. But I think early on it was, as much of an accident as any band that I think kind of explodes, because they've just sort of captured the sort of, I don't know, prevailing feeling of a moment for enough kind of disaffected kids with, upper middle class parents who can afford to buy them CDs,
Yeah, completely. Completely. And that is, as shameful as that is, and all this stuff, it deserves recognition and not to turn this into a over complimentary sort of thing, but it's fun listening to you and just try to talk about really in full adulthood dissect and break down these songs. It's quite funny. It's quite charismatic to hear it all kind of unfold. And it really did make me think, and made me go back and and this is I've listened to a bunch of them now, and I go back now to other stuff I was listening to when I was young, and I'm Oh yeah, I'm like re-listening to records that I haven't listened to in a lot of years, like a lot of the early, like, you know, like a lot of Fat Records era stuff and Epitaph and it's incredible. A lot of it doesn't age well, but it's like, it definitely does like bring back that, you know, like there's like smells that are attached to like certain memories.
Yeah, totally.
Like that's the smell of pop punk has like a very specific, like triggers a certain emotional response from me, you know?
Yeah, it smells like a sock that you've worn and jerked off into and then worn again. Like it's a true bouquet of scents.
Yeah.
So did you have other,
Yeah.
like you went through and highlighted all these lyrics and I feel like we got derailed around
let's
right
go
before
back.
the
Let's
Silver
go back.
Cup. And so I want to make sure that we get a chance
you know
to
what?
address.
I wish I could send you a picture because I have Silver Cup circled.
Well,
I want to talk about that.
You're going to send me a photo and we will include that on the show Instagram for people who want to sort of understand your artistic and intellectual process.
Okay. So yeah, I was brought up without a silver cup. That's kind of like saying like you can lead a donkey to a creek, but like you can't make it consume water.
Yeah,
like,
it's
like,
mangled,
you know,
right? I was like, even looking at it, I was like, what's the expression? And I couldn't think of it because it's so like distorted.
Yeah. I wasn't raised with a silver spoon in my mouth. Is the you know, the silver spoon is the metaphor for, you know, growing up in affluence, right? But this is the silver cup, and I wasn't brought up, or I was brought up without a silver cup, and like as though, you know, a silver cup was the symbol of wealth, you know, and I really,
classic wealthy signifier.
I love how jumbled that is. Like I love how like I can't remember what the metaphor is. So I'm just going to go with like silver cup, whatever. Put it out. Let's record it. And like, I thought that was, I don't know. Yeah, it definitely struck a nerve with me when I heard it through the first time. It was like I was brought up with a silver cup.
Also,
and then,
like,
of course, that brings you right to the covet, you know, and that's the first Jesus moment.
That's when it gets very religious. The weird thing is, though, like, I mean, you've been to Sombrero. I've never been to San Diego. My impression of San Diego and of what I imagine the suburbs of San Diego are like is there's probably a lot of silver cups. Like, a lot of those houses probably have whole cabinets of silver cups. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my impression of San Diego is incorrect, but like it feels like a bougie city to me.
I don't know. Like I've only all of my experiences in San Diego have been at like around a 5-block radius of a club that we were playing at, right? But the impression that I got of San Diego is that like it's like Oakville with like, you know, Mexican influence, like a lot of, you know, Mexican influence in around it, like, you know, because it's so close to the border, and that's why like Sombrero was like this really incredible like Mexican restaurant and all this stuff, and you know, like so like it's a bit like Oakville in that it seems very suburban and very like, I don't know, like I'm thinking like, you know, sidewalks and green grass and whatever, right? So yeah, I don't know, that makes sense, but I don't imagine. Maybe there's a bad part of San Diego that I haven't been to, like this really like edgy neighborhood where the rapscallions from Blink-182 were born.
Yeah, the bad boys of Blink. Like it's just like they're not rancid. You know what I mean? Like I don't think Blink's ever played Gilman. Just this whole idea of, I mean, the material things are now more and more is literally a sentence that makes no sense.
Yeah.
They're just more, man.
For you and me, like, you know, like I don't. This is where the song really falls apart, right? And then it leads you into I won't covet the things owned by your store. So the person that he has been like, just like, you know, envying this whole time is really just like a simple shop owner, you know, like a guy who owns a store.
Yeah, the humble shopkeep.
A guy who he's got like a storefront. He sells items to the public, and that's who he's like, you know, really denouncing. First of all, the guy who owns the store, he's got the money, he's got the girls, he's got the everything, right?
Yeah.
And like it's a crazy song. It's a really, really crazy song.
I mean, this song is basically anti-small business owners, which, I find upsetting because they're the lifeblood of American cities,
That's exactly it. And I come from Hamilton, and we have a lot, it's all the small business entrepreneurs, people with the storefronts, people with the small art galleries that have really revitalized the city. And it's really hard to kind of back this song entirely. You don't want to come down on the store owner, too much, but that's it. This song will probably speak to a whole group of Hamiltonians who are going around into O's Clothes or Mulberry Street Cafe or, the Smalls Coffee. And they're like, man, this store owner, he's really sticking it to me. He's got all the girls, he's got all the money.
What are you coveting these days in Hamilton, George? What's your number one store owner coveted item?
Oh man, I don't know. This will probably, you know what? I can say this with full disclosure because I bought Meg's birthday presents at White Elephant. It's a little boutique shop, and she wanted these really kind of custom handbag thing or whatever, and I went and got her there. And it's a really nice little store that everyone should go to. And I don't know. There's a good example of one. But again, I can tell you exactly what I got Meg for her birthday because she will never listen to this.
So it's not her birthday yet?
No, it's coming up.
Oh yeah.
It'll be, yeah.
Well, are there any other secrets you want to share about your wife on this Blink-182 podcast that she won't listen to?
Oh man, no. That's enough.
That's pretty good.
The birthday present is enough. There's enough. Yeah.
Well, George, what do you have anything? Do you have any other notes on this song? And then, do you have anything that you need to promote again to our dozens of listeners? What's going on in George's life?
Nothing that I need to promote. I'm doing this strictly for the pod. I'm not. Dead Tired still doing stuff. Kinda. We just finished recording. Maybe there's songs coming out. There's no dates I can give you. Nothing worth promoting.
Fuck it.
Alexisonfire is kind of a band. Maybe we're a band, maybe we're not a band. We're playing shows at the dance floor. Those are sold out. Can't even promote those.
So don't even bother?
Don't even bother. So just what's the program? What do you call the thing that pays the podcast?
Patreon?
Patreon. There you go. There, I'll promote that for you guys. How about that?
That's
I've got nothing
so
else.
kind of you.
Store owner with a question mark is literally the last thing that I had down as a note.
Okay, sick. Well, George, thank you for making memes. Thank you for making cum memes for us. Thank you for offering your thoughts on the confused political underpinnings of Reebok commercial and. Thanks for telling us what you got your wife for her birthday.
Hey, no problem, man. And it was great. Thanks for having me on. And I'm glad to be a friend of the pod.